Hello everyone, it's Sylvia from Outlaw Tarot. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a really fun VR to Cosmic Creepers video called Oracles with Attitude. So I was watching this video and I thought it was really fun. I loved everything about it. I loved the way in which the concept is being explained. So basically what we're going to have a look at is oracles that generally speaking do not fit in that category of a hug deck. Let's put it this way, because there's so many memes going around in which, you know, there's the usual idea that tarot decks are slapping you in the face with the truth. They're telling you what you don't want to hear, but you desperately need to listen. Whereas, for example, oracle decks are the one decks we turn to when we want to be cuddled and we want to be told that perhaps, you know, you're going to be fine and everything is going to be rosy and it's going to be okay. I strongly believe that there's different ways to deliver a message, obviously, but I do have that kind of really strong preference for an oracle or even a tarot deck with a bit of a sassy kind of attitude. And so I thought about joining in with this tag, and I've got a few oracle decks that I'm going to show you together with the tarot decks I'm going to pair them with. So the first one I want to show you is not strictly speaking an oracle deck, in the sense that it's a deck of cards that is mostly used to trigger the inspiration for writers. So there's a lot of these writing, let's say creative writing kind of decks. I do, however, really think that amongst all of the plethora of all of those decks that are supposed to give us an idea on what to write a story about, this one is actually slightly different, and I have found that using it as an oracle deck actually pays out, because it's a really beautiful deck in itself, but it's also the kind of message, it contains those kind of messages that are actually very straightforward, and it is an excellent reader. The only complaint that I've got, and it's not really a complaint because obviously this has not been conceived as an oracle deck, so it doesn't have a lot of cards. I would have loved a fuller deck, so say at least 40 cards, even more if possible. Not just because, you know, you want to use it, I want to use it as an oracle deck, but it's also because when you do fall into that trap that is called a creator's lack of imagination or writer's block, you kind of need more than these cards, you know what I mean? Sometimes you really have to work hard, you know, to find inspiration. But in any case, let me just show you this deck, and I just wanted to show you how it works together with one of my favorite tarot decks, which, to be honest, it's also a bit of a deck with an attitude, although it's not an oracle deck, it's a tarot deck, and you probably know this because it's the Somn Tarot by Nicholas Bruno, very famous deck. These two together are absolutely amazing, and I do believe that they actually really show you how great, you know, a creative deck can actually be when you use it for different things, such as an oracle, for example. And so it does, it's also a photographic deck like the Somnianese, and it does pair well when it comes to the, you know, let's say the color palette, of course. But what I really like about these two together is the messages. And it's just, look at this, for example, in the world beyond worlds. And the image is just absolutely fantastic. There is this waterfall that is coming out of this block of land, block of soil that has a tower on top, and it's just floating in the air. And so we do have, obviously we use our intuition in order to be able to use this deck as an oracle deck, but imagine, you know, in the world beyond worlds. So there's always something happening in the as above. There's always something that when it happens in the as above, it does mirror back in the so below. And so this tells you that when there's a strong energy at play, you also need to look for the consequences of this energy. So you've got the Page of Coins, which is always very much strictly in touch with nature. It's the kind of, it is the archetype of the learner, the student, you know, the one that always wants to get you know, in touch with everything. And it is a beautiful message that comes across, because it tells us that there is something that is happening in the as above. And when you find that innocence related to all of the pages really, but in specific also of the Page of Coins, because you want to get back to that specific direct communication with nature that is around you. If you wish for something like that to happen, you will realize that in the world beyond words, whatever happens there, it will be reflected in what is around us. And so if your secrets hide in dark places, so obviously, you know, it tells you that the Two of Swords is basically telling you that the reason why you're feeling stuck is because you have to look for what's hidden in the dark places. And perhaps you won't feel that kind of fiery energy and competitive energy of the Five of Wands, and once you release that, you may be able to actually move and be unstuck and move on and take a decision, or a path opens up, you know, out of, obviously you feel like you're a slave or something because you're literally just bound by rope, in this case of the Somnia, depiction of the Devil card. But then finally you see some kind of opening, there is a path that opens up, and you will emerge victorious out of this quest. So you can obviously decide what the tone is when you're using these two together, because this deck indeed has that kind of power, which I believe all of the creative writing tools might have. But I really feel that there is some kind of a taken, almost stubborn point of view in this deck. The lost must be found. It's not going to tell you that everything is going to be okay when something has disappeared. And to be honest with you, this card is really incredible for me, because on the one hand, it shows you, I don't know if you can see, but it shows you that there is a creature, I think it's a dog, that is in a tunnel, and you know, and then it tells you in a construction site, and it tells you that the lost must be found. So don't give up just yet on finding something that you have lost. And the Hermit does share that kind of a seeking or a seeker kind of vibes. You know, with the Two of Cups, perhaps what you've lost was something that made you a complete person, which is kind of the meaning of the Two of Cups, when we just realize that there is someone else outside of us, and we need to reckon this powerful force and existence that is another human beings. Or seek the truth with care between the Five of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. And as you can see, there's a lot of combination. Find the way to the light. And I really do appreciate how these two actually talk together, because I think that it's a fantastic way to also use your tarot decks. You know, it really gives you a different perspective on a tarot deck that you're normally using in some way, and then by associating that with an oracle deck with an attitude like this one, for example, you kind of take on a different pair of reading glasses, or you know, a filter that you didn't even think about before. So these two together, absolutely gorgeous, and I highly recommend this one. So just to repeat that, it's the Wayfarer deck. I think it's called just Wayfarer cards, possibly. It's not necessarily easy for me to understand from this. Yeah, it does say that it's Pardalot Press, so at pardalotpress.com, so you might probably be able to find it, but in my case I just found it in a bookstore, and I really think that you can probably also find it on Amazon. In any case, for all of these decks, the ones that are available, I will make sure to put the link to their website in the description box below, just in case for you to check them out if you so wish, or even to buy them. And so moving on to another deck that I also believe has a very strong attitude, even more so than the Wayfarer. And I'm talking about this deck. So this deck is called a Dose of Reality Oracle deck. And fair warning, there's a couple of swear words in this deck. So I'm just gonna warn you, you know, it's not necessarily sensitive content, but there's a couple of swear words. So I just wanted to make that clear. It's a very, it's an indie deck by Kiana Ella. Artist is Todd William Deering, and I don't see Okay, it is being sub-published by, you can find it at kianaella.com or even at the illustrator's website, Todd Williams Deering. It's not an illustrator, obviously this is a photographic deck, so I'm thinking the artist is the photographer behind these creations. So this is a very well-known technique of photography in which you basically mirror the image, you know, from one side to the other, and it pairs up as well, really well, with the Somn Tarot because it also is photographic. So I'm just going to quickly show you. As you can see, it does have some pretty, I might want to say heavy cards, because when you find yourself looking at your shadow self between the Wheel of Fortune and the Tower, it's kind of a, it's not a light-hearted reading kind of thing, if you understand what I mean. So gossip as well with the 5 of coins and the 3 of coins. There might be some kind of atmosphere in which you're left out in the cold and someone has been pushing you out, basically. So you may think that it's related to gossip that way. Or world saver with the 2 of cups and the Queen of coins, definitely that energy of the healer that comes from the archetype of the Queen of coin. And then we got dumb and boring, and as you can see, that's where I really believe that you can see how much of an attitude this deck has, because perhaps the research you're doing is a bit dumb and boring. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't have to do it, because you can you know, benefit from the light that it switches on, or the mirror between Justice and the 3 of Cups, or the as you can see, there is a couple of swear words, so I'm not going to pronounce it here because I don't want my video to be blocked by censorship or anything. But as you can see, it does have that kind of an attitude that you would expect from a sassy kind of deck. Distracted, you're being distracted right now, the 7 of Cups. Perhaps the fact that you cannot choose is not necessarily due to the fact that you have too many choices, but because you're distracted, you're not focusing. And so there is this reminder of becoming again the soldier of the Knight of Coins that is indeed focusing on the cause. And then we're talking about Doomsday with the 10 of Wands and the Lovers. So the drama card between the 2 of Wands and the Star. Or erect between the 6 of Swords and the 6 of Cups. So that's interesting because we see these two energies coming from the 6, and numerologically speaking, the 6 is a card of movement, of you know, but not necessarily the one that tells you that the situation you were in is unblocked, so has been released, but there's still a little bit of movement. And so this kind of sense of being erect also reminds you of that. Humble pie is whatever we need to eat whenever, for example, we think that the wish comes true, but we are just celebrating on our own with the 9 of Cups. So let's just eat an humble pie and understand that, you know, we do not have to succumb to perhaps our arrogance or you know, a sense of vanity that we can have, which is brought by the Devil card. Sovereign, and so on and so forth. And so as you can see, Buried Alive, that's a terrible card, my goodness. Guilt, also terrible card. Feeding all. So this deck is not necessarily just a shadow deck, and it really feels like a deck that has that bit of an attitude, because it's telling you that you're selfish when you are, and you just have to you know, deal with that. You just have to find a way to process that message. So in any case, I sometimes pair it also with the Walking Meditation Tarot, and I'm just going to show you quickly because it is a beautiful pair, these two together. So the Walking Meditation Tarot is a fantastic tarot deck by Danielle Norman, a Canadian artist, and I'm just going to show you just to level these two decks together. So even though we're talking about two different media in this case, because obviously we're looking at a very specific photographic technique, and you know, as opposed to another photographic technique. So this one instead is a technique that starts from the photo of, you know, a subject, and then it applies a couple of layers on top in order to make it look like you were painting. And I can assure you this actually works. And so you've got the moon dog, so this particular phenomena with create and the Emperor card. And so you can start, you know, your trip into the imagination or you got the victim card between the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Cups. Sometimes the Queen of Cups is indeed a bit of a victim, in the sense that they are victim of their own mind, or the stupidity between the King of Swords and the King of Pentacles. That is so funny, and that tells me how much of an attitude this oracle has, because obviously, you know, the kings are the top of the top of what you can reach in order of managing your skills and mastering your skills and the level that you can reach in the court cards. And ironically, you know, the kings are always seen as not necessarily arrogant per se, but they could be arrogant because they did master, you know, that trip down the minors, the suit of the minors that they represent. And so that for the card stupidity to appear between two kings is just, I think it's really hilarious. Explore between the Ace of Wands and the Ten of Cups, absolutely. So I really like pairing, as I said, these two decks together, and also this Oracle deck with the Somn Tarot. And I can assure you 100% this deck really has a very strong attitude that you really have to, as you can see, we got Orgasm card between the Three of Cups, for example, and the Seven of Cups. So you don't have to deal with a few topics or arguments that normally, you know, will be a bit, not necessarily taboo, but, you know, soft spoken, let's put it this way. So this is the Dose of Reality Oracle deck, and it's the second deck that I wanted to show you today as a deck with an attitude. And now moving on to the next one, let me see which one is closer to me. Absolutely this one. So this is a recent deck. Let me just zoom out just a little bit. So it's called the Deadly Apothecary Oracle by the Priestess Moon. This is published by Rockpool, and it's a recent publication. I think it's only been out for a couple of months. And it's a really, really amazing deck, and the attitude is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, on the one hand, you also feel that it's judging you because of the keywords sometimes. And if you don't know the concept behind this deck, it's basically a botanical deck, but it's only concentrating on those plants that actually contain deadly poison. And it's also giving you the possibility, when you dig into the guidebook, to see what the antidote is to that particular venom or, you know, poison. And so I really like to pair it up with the Carnival at the End of the World deck, because on the one hand it does share the botanical theme that we can find on the tarot, but it also shares a lot of the color palette, because we tend to have these really dark or even black backgrounds and these splashes of colors. Obviously the Drowning World is a deck that is based on photography, but it's a really beautiful pair. It just reads like a charm, and I find it very intuitive as well. But the fact that I've chosen the Deadly Apothecary for this tag, let me show you just how much of an attitude this deck has. Because, you know, even this one, the Belladonna, which is a famous poison, has a message at the bottom. It says, accept your fate. So just, you know, just get over it. Just get over it, because it's really futile to try and fight it. Just accept it for the time being. You just have to get over that kind of thing that just happened. And so we find it with the Queen of Cups, for example, and the Justice card. And that, you know, the coupling of the Accept Your Fate with the Belladonna with the Justice card is absolutely fantastic, because that's exactly what you need to do when faced with the Justice card. There is a bit of a reckoning that you need to adopt. So spiritual superiority with Madonna Lily between the Six of Swords and the Chariot card. Drop the Drama. This to me is the card that really could not have more attitude than this. So with the Black Hellebore, we've got Drop the Drama. I mean, is it really going to help you to just throw a tantrum? Probably not. And so just, you know, retrench yourself and just have a look at what you need to do, and have a look at your skills with the, because we got the magician here. So you do have the skills, so drop the drama. You can actually get yourself out of that hole if you just understand how to use your empathic skills, because we got the page of cups on the right here. So as you can see, it's a really beautiful way to pair up decks. When you find, for example, an oracle deck that has a little bit of an attitude, and you pair it up with a tarot deck that it might be neutral or really well balanced or grounded. And obviously this goes for cheeky kind of readings, you know, surrender, just, you know, just give up. So it goes for a kind of a cheeky reading, but it's absolutely gorgeous also when it comes to the aesthetics. I really, really enjoy these two together. Embrace the change, you know, it seems to be telling you that you always have to accept that things are impermanent, and so sometimes they just stop existing, they end, but then they start existing again. There is a rebirth, because that's the cycle of life. And so this is the Deadly Apothecary Oracle deck, and I paired it up with the Drowning, the Tarot of the Drowning World. This is an indie, by the way, an indie deck. And so let's have a look at what I've got here. So I have got another one left, which I think is really, really cool. And I'm talking about the Outlaw Oracle. Now, if you've never seen this Oracle deck, it is the deck with an attitude par excellence, like they say in French, because it's absolutely you do you, but I couldn't care less because I do me. And it's just all of the deck has got this kind of really liberating kind of vibe, I should say. Because it really tells you that, you know, at the end of the day, we are just so small compared to everything that is going on in our lives. And why feeling the anxiety about things? Just go with the flow. But it does tell you so with a bit of an attitude, and it makes you smile, and sometimes it makes you grind your teeth because you're not necessarily ready to listen to the message. And I pair it up with, sorry, I actually forgot to talk about this. So I actually pair it up with the Savvy Soul Tarot by Julie Whitelish, one of my favorite decks of all times. I love this deck so much. I always say, whenever I talk about this deck, I always say that I love it, because it just reminds me of my life. Every single card has got a moment that has been significant for myself, for my life. And when I found that these two pair up so well together, I just kept on using it together, and they've been together ever since. And this is actually breaking my own rule, because when it comes to storage, I actually divide oracle decks from tarot decks, but these two actually stay together because it's like twins. You cannot separate them. It's either twins or lovers, and you know, you will do them such a huge injustice by not setting them down together. They always have this kind of conversation together. You just don't even need to exist. You're just there to flip the cards, and you just listen and watch this you know, happening in front of you. And you know, and it's got talking again about the attitude of the deck. I mean, you got the whiskey card that says stubbornness and perseverance and numbing, and that is a great concept because of course it refers back to the way in which we can numb ourselves or our feelings, you know, by drinking a glass of whiskey, for example. And we got that between the Three of Coins and the King of Wands. And so you always find a story to tell with this deck, and especially when you pair these two up together. So black coffee with clarity and fresh start and new energy. Between the Queen of Wands has got that performing kind of spark, and the Six of Coins. And then we've got the Wild Hearts, Unbridled and Adventurous Gamblers. You know, that's a bit of a reference to the real world. I mean, we're not in the as above, we are definitely in the so below here, because we're really talking about facts and our lives and what we live, you know. And I love the fact that I have here the highway. Oh my goodness, the highway with journeys, self-discovery and choices between the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands. So obviously you're looking at a highway right now in the Two of Wands, and the Oracle deck is saying, what are you waiting for? Just go. This is your self-discovery journey. So why would you even wait before embarking upon that? And obviously then you get convinced and you finally start your journey with the Three of Wands. Really, really love the epiphanies that come out of these two together. But also the fact that they really are destined to be together, because they're just really in that same space with the same vibes and energy, and they're absolutely beautiful. And I am so very glad that I got this deck. I was hesitating for a bit, but then I found it. I think I found it on Tarot Stack. And I had the most amazing experience because I ordered it on probably the beginning of a week, so on a Monday, and by 10 days after I already had it, which is, trust me, it's very quick when it comes to international shipping, and you're based in Australia. You're looking at 3 weeks minimum for anything that comes from, even from New Zealand, if you can believe it. Even a deck coming from New Zealand that I bought 2 weeks ago is still in transit. So as you can see, we're just in the middle of nowhere. We're far away from everyone. So this is one of my favorite oracle decks when it comes to that kind of sassy attitude that really keeps you on your toes, and it really wants you to take action and do something and look at your life and what does it feel like right now. And I'm pairing it up with the Savvy Soul Tarot. And that was it for today. So thank you for staying with me in such a really lovely and fun tag. I will make sure to post a Cosmic Creepers video, original video, in the description box below so you can check it out. And other than that, have a great day.